If you love noodles or just eating in general, you need to hear this. Food industry drama. Because I'm pretty sure you've never heard about it because no one spoke about it. It's one of those hush-hush thingies that didn't get a lot of media coverage. But I'm here to give you all the scoop and all the tea.
You're welcome.
Imagine this. You're preparing a pack of noodles. Instant noodles. You put it in water, you set your timer, and to pass the time, you start scrolling on your phone and you see a Japanese guy calling you poor and insulting your entire country's economy. Who is this person? The CEO of Nissan. Should I say allegedly? I don't want to get into legal trouble. Okay, so I've got a bit of a situation I need to clear up. You see, I've made a mistake. In this video, there is a segment about Momofuku Ando supposedly making mean comments on Indomie. Yeah, it turns out that is not factual. There's no real evidence of him saying that ever. It must have been someone else, or it could have been a rumor. I should have double checked. Basically, I ended up vilifying the guy, making him look bad for no reason. And I want to be clear about that. Anyways, so this alone won't take away anything from the rest of the video, so enjoy the video. Anyways, so during my research, I found out so much about the food industry and how petty some of their complaints can be sometimes. So it's gonna be very juicy. Before I start, I should disclaim that some information can be inaccurate, so feel free to correct me in the comment section. If you do find inaccurate info here and there, correct me. But I don't think you really have to because the research was done pretty accurately this time around. So let's dig in. But first, who am I? Hi, I'm VALF, a video editor and a voice actor. I've worked on countless projects over the years. YouTube videos, ads, storybooks, TikTok, Instagram Reels, you name it. My superpower, I can replicate any video editing and voiceover style you throw at me. If you are a new client, you get one unfair discount, whether it's for video editing or voice acting. Want to see my work? Check out my portfolio, it's in the description. Just shoot me an email. If I'm not overbooked, I will respond to you within 24 hours. Worried about the pricing? Don't be. I've got flexible packages to fit all kinds of creators. I've got a small dedicated team behind me. Even if you don't want my services, just say hi, I love to connect. Now, back to the video. Take a look at these key figures. They're very important to the story. Just look at them. Did you look? Good. Momofuku Ando, the creator of instant noodles. Or you could say the father of instant noodles. That sounds kind of inappropriate. Anyways, he invented it and he's also the founder of the company called Nissan.
Again, I feel like I'm spelling this wrong.
You get what I mean. Momofuku Ando, the current CEO of Nissan, the son of Momofuku Ando. He's the salty one, more on him later. And Sudono Salim, Chinese-Indonesian billionaire. The owner of Indofood, one of the richest men in Indonesia. He also has a son named Anthony Salim. Their names aren't that difficult to say. Now, they don't just own Indomie, okay? They're pretty big. They own banks, other industries like telecom and stuff. Yeah, they own a bunch of stuff in Indonesia. And also this mysterious figure who's responsible for my favorite Indomie flavor. All these people have vastly different stories and controversies. Something not a lot of us know about because they're rarely brought up in the media. Well, not rarely, but you get what I mean. They're relevant, but not that relevant. So things are about to get juicy, okay? So get your noodles ready and let's begin. So, who is Momofuku Ando? Well, he is a businessman. Well, was a businessman. An inventor, a businessman, whatever you want to roll with. He was born in Taiwan and he moved to Japan, where he went through his character development arc. He saw Second World War with his own eyes and he even fought in it. Obviously, Japan lost, and when everything died down, he noticed something strange. Because after the Second World War, people were, starving everywhere. There's famine everywhere and people were barely scraping by. Not having enough to eat was obviously the biggest problem. So while all of this was happening, Momofuku Ando, I'm going to refer to him as Ando because it's easier that way. So one day, especially after the World War, Momofuku noticed that a bunch of people, Japanese people, were lining up to eat pasta. And there were a lot of people queuing up. And that gave him an idea. An idea that is going to revolutionize the food industry. There was hunger and people were craving food, so they were resorting to cheap and fast food that can be made and eaten to, quench your hunger. And so he was like, I have an idea. So he created the first ever instant ramen, chicken flavor. There were no chicken pieces in it, of course. It was just a flavor. Just a block of dehydrated noodles that you can blanch in hot water and have it ready to eat, that you can also store for a prolonged period of time without worrying about its shelf life. The pack looked nothing special. It was just a pack of noodles, but with a small pack inside that has all the spice. Not very healthy options, but that's not what he was going for. He was just looking for a way to instantly make ramen. And that idea became a reality. And people loved it. In his late 40s, he was like, you know what? Let me globalize this idea. I want people to taste my ramen. And that is exactly what he did. He created Nissin Foods, his own company. And he started distributing ramen through his company. He dominated the market. His sales skyrocketed. He sold 13 million packs. That is not a small number. Also, there's this really cool story that I feel like you should know. In 1966, he went to America. He saw a bunch of Americans doing something really strange. He saw them taking out the ramen and putting it in cups. And after that, they pour hot water into those cups, draining the excess, and voila, you have yourselves instant noodles without creating a huge mess. And once they were done eating, throw away the cup. I mean, that's actually quite smart. Whoever came up with that idea was a genius. And he stole that idea. Well, okay, maybe that's a bit too harsh. He was inspired by that idea. So he thought to himself, Americans are not so dumb. Let me do what they're doing. So he went back to Japan and made cups out of styrofoam with his instant noodles inside. Now, all you have to do to make instant noodles, add hot water, let it cook for a minute, drain the water, and enjoy the treat. Quick, convenient, and not messy. When I was little, I didn't know ramen was a thing, There weren't many food options available when we were kids. We only had this thing called chow mein, and my mom would sometimes cook it, and since we didn't know how to really cook, we would often improvise, add oil and veggies and egg, and I mean technically that's how you're supposed to cook chow mein, but we never introduced soy sauce. We didn't even know that it was a thing. We just knew you just have to blanch the dehydrated noodles into hot water, drain it, and don't overcook it, and just stir fry it and add some maybe veggies like carrots and sometimes chicken meat if you're feeling fancy that day. We never knew that soy sauce was a thing. We don't trust foreign recipes. I mean, we call it Chinese food, but technically it's not really Chinese. It's an Indian interpretation of Chinese food. But yeah, that's kind of what we used to eat. We didn't know ramen was a thing. If I didn't know any better, I probably would have called ramen chow mein because that's all I knew back then. Now I'm seeing all kinds of noodles, like noodles made of rice flour, corn flour, they're different kinds, and each noodle type has different textures, flavors, stringiness, gelatinous. Food always fascinates me. And while we're on the topic of food, we cannot ignore Indo food. It's very important to the story. So for a while, everything was going well for Nissin, but then something strange happened. A sudden shift in the consumer behavior. And it happened so fast that they couldn't control it or contain it. Everything was going smoothly, but all of a sudden it was like, oh, what the heck is going on? Why the sales dropping? While Ando was busy scaling his business, a Chinese business owner created a company called Indomie in Indonesia. And it was bigger, better. They were surely doing something that Nissin wasn't able to do. That would explain why all the consumers started spending their money on something else. It turns out Indo food was not struggling to reach the global market, even though Nissin was there from the very beginning. Indomie was beating Nissin in their own game, and that hurt both their pride and their revenue. If it were to happen to me, I'd be like, oh, that stinks. Indo food blew up. Everybody started liking the stuff that they were making. In 2019 alone, they surpassed $40 billion in sales. And they also managed to build factories all around the world. In 1982, however, a flavor was invented, which blew Indofood's name even more. What was that flavor, you asked? Well, I'll tell you about it. But first, you need to know that around that time, something strange was happening in Africa. Africa, even though it's like so far away from Indonesia, became the largest consumer of Indomie. How did that happen? Well, let me tell you. Indomie was first introduced in Africa in 1988, and when it was introduced, people did not even know how to eat it. They thought they were supposed to eat it raw. They didn't know that they need to cook it. And some people thought that they're supposed to fry that chunk of dehydrated noodles. Deep fry it. Yeah, I would have done the same. I mean, how did it taste? Oh, I kind of want to know now. Should I deep fry a pack of Indomie? Maybe I will if this video gets 1,000 likes. But yeah, people in Africa, well, they were struggling at first, but after learning how it's cooked, they were getting very creative. They quickly perfected the way of cooking Indomie. They didn't just learn how to make Indomie, they perfected it, and they even came up with their own version and named it Jollof-style noodles. Looks kind of tasty, not gonna lie. By 2010, 70% of Africa's market was completely captured by Indomie. By captured, I mean captured. There were even cartoon shows made about Indomie. Well, not about Indomie, but, you know, there were some elements in there that made you, like, question, people really love Indomie here, don't they? I wonder what kind of superpowers they all possess. Making Indomie without water. Bam! Tasty. In this day and age, building a business is pretty darn difficult. It's cutthroat. So if your competitor is offering something that you are unable to offer, obviously people are gonna go to them. And it might make you lose even some of your loyal consumers, but that's okay. In a way, it inspires you to be more creative and try and come up with new stuff that people might like. And I believe Indomie's taste is what enabled the change, the sudden shift in the air. 10 minutes of yapping. I'm recording this at night around 2 a.m. 2 a.m. and I wish I had some Indomie right now. I ran out. I have to order some. Yeah, I make some weird noises sometimes. That's me. You know, Indomie wouldn't be as successful as it is today if it wasn't for all the flavors that it brings to the table. All of this would have never happened if it wasn't for this person. She's the reason why I love Indomie. Some may even call her the Queen of Indomie because of what she did. Her identity was leaked because of a tweet, and her story is very unique. Very, very unique. You see, in 1986, she created the original Indomie flavor, the one that I'm addicted to. Not only that, she created other iconic flavors like chicken curry, rendang green chili, and so on. She works as a food technologist at Indofood. I'm just gonna call her food scientist. I mean, let's be fair, it's easier. Instant noodle in the world by the Los Angeles Times in 2019. Also, some other noodles she made in 2017. Her track record is pretty shiny and full of amazing accomplishments. But here's the thing, we wouldn't have known about her if it wasn't for a tweet leak. Because she doesn't want to be found. She keeps a really low profile. She's extremely humble. Whenever she gets paparazzi'd, she just redirects all the attention to Indofood's PR team. She doesn't want all the fame. And that's what I love about her. She just wants her work, hold on, my alarm is going off. She just wants her work to be acknowledged. Not herself. That ain't a queen, then I don't know who is. She's the reason why I love Indomie. One of my boys recommended Indomie to me, and I didn't really know that Indomie was a big thing until he told me. And I was like, maybe I will try it. And when I did, my mind was blown. And now everything tastes bland. What did I do to my taste buds? Okay, I'm gonna go poop. So Sudono Salim is, or was, one of the richest men in Indonesia. How much money do you actually need to be considered the richest in the nation? Probably, yeah, I don't know. The number is too high, I can't even imagine. Well, he was of Chinese descent, and he migrated to Indonesia in his 20s, and he settled in Central Java. But despite possessing all that wealth, he had to save his life, move to Singapore because, oh my god, that thing. Yeah, as I was saying, to save his life, he had to leave Indonesia and move to Singapore. Why? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Now, to be fair, Indofood isn't the only thing he owned. He owned a bunch of other stuff like flour mill, cement manufacturing company, and even a large private bank. Now that actually kind of gives you a scale of how much money he actually possessed. That's insane. I mean, to own a bank, you gotta own at least a couple of billions. I don't know. During 1972 and 1990, he did so much. During this time, he built and kept building his wealth and his influence, capturing much of the market, much of the industries. So he was pretty golden. I guess it's safe to say that this time was his golden era. But most of the wealth he made, he couldn't keep, because he had to pay 52 trillion Indonesian rupiah. That how much is that? Put it up on the screen. Yeah. Well, he had to pay that because that's how deep in debt he was at that time. So he had to let go a bunch of companies he owned, including the cement manufacturing company and of course the private bank, which is like the largest bank in Indonesia, BCA Bank. You can still look it up. I must say, during crisis, he had really good ties with the president of Indonesia. They were buddies and they were helping each other in a way. So people were kind of mad because, the president was clearly showing favoritism, giving him things that others didn't have the luxury of getting. All I can say is that both sides benefited a lot from this whole transaction that took place between them. I won't get too deep into this story because it's a lot more complex and a lot of parties were involved. So looking at it from outside, that's all you can see, and I guess it makes sense why some people were really upset about the way he was actually conducting himself with the president. For that very reason, his house in Indonesia was attacked. It happened between 1998 and 1997, the Asian financial crisis. Much like all the Asian countries, Indonesia was also suffering. The Indonesian currency, IDR, lost 80% of its value. Inflation, poverty, and unemployment were skyrocketing, and people were mad, really mad. There was so much public unrest that a lot of protests started happening all over Indonesia. And sadly, a lot of ethnic Chinese people were attacked during this time. Businesses were destroyed, shops were looted, and houses were burned down. It was very violent, and a lot of bad things happened that I can't mention. Among many of the houses that were burned down that day, his house was one of them. After realizing that his safety is in jeopardy in Indonesia, he decided to move out. So he went all the way to Singapore. And while he was there, he ran his business like usual, like nothing ever happened. For a while, everything was going great. Too great, in fact. Fast forward a couple of years, Salim slowly transferred his business to his son, and now his son is in charge. Soon after that, he died of old age. He had a good run, I must say, and now his son is running everything. The Salim family went through a lot during the crisis, and their reputation was completely decimated. But things took a turn for the better. Slowly over time, Indofood was able to recapture the reputation it lost. Indofood survived, and it's actually thriving under the supervision of his son. There's a lot that I had to skip over in this segment. To be more informed about this, research on your own to find out what happened that day during the riot. So that was a roller coaster. What surprised me still is that even after all of this, Indofood still survived, which goes to show that it wasn't just the reputation of the people running the thing behind the screens, it's the taste and how people through collaboration managed to bring some tasty ideas to life. At the end of the day, I guess it's safe to say that the love for its taste is what brought it back to life, because Nissan did not suffer the way Indofood suffered. So struggles sometimes build your characters. That was Indofood's character arc. Guys, I'm a little bit sick. Caught a cold. Okay, wow. Now, about the rude guy's commentary. Finally, Noodle King. Can I call him that? The son of Ando. Koki Ando. The son of Ando. Koki Ando. I guess it's safe to say that he was born with a silver chopstick in his mouth. Is that indecent to say? I hope not. Why do humans get sick? He joined Nissan in 1973 and have done some good and bad for the country. A lot of people compare him to who's messaging me? A lot of people compare him to a boomer. Why? Because, well, he's trying to make noodles healthy. Well, it's not necessarily a harmful thing to do. It's just that some people say noodles are supposed to be junk food. Please don't try and change what makes us happy. Ando is trying really hard to reduce the amount of sugar and salt used in noodles, leaning more towards the bland side of things that old folks are into, which is a healthy thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people, such as myself, find that thing a bit controversial, a bit rebellious in this line of business. But that is not the only controversy he chucked himself in. You see, what people found unacceptably controversial was his comment on Indomie. He implied Indomie's success was due to economic hardship, suggesting that lazy people who do not have a lot of money in a low-income society would buy unhealthy and cheap food just to get by. And so, yeah, make of that what you will. But a lot of people found this comment very insensitive. I mean, I get it. You do want to smack talk your competitors, but don't bring your consumers into this. You know, maybe say something like, "Oh, they use unclean water," or the flour they use when making the dough is funny. That sounds silly. I know nothing about this industry. But you get my point, right? If he was trying to critique, the criticism should have been directed at the manufacturer, not the consumer. But in this case, he was targeting the consumers. And that is why a lot of people are pissed and, yeah, annoyed. Mainly in Indonesia and Nigeria, because a large number of Indomie consumers are in these nations. And therefore, they just feel a bit upset, understandably. Because from what I can gather, it feels like to me he's saying, if you like Indomie, you're poor. I don't mind, I'll do it again. It's so, it tastes so dang good. Yeah, I like salty things, which is bad, I know. It's not healthy, but every once in a while, it's fine. I'll add veggies. I mean, people often say these things out of ignorance, don't you think? I mean, he probably has never tried Indomie. If he did, he may not have said those harsh things. Then again, I don't know. I'm not him. Okay? And I also find this kind of ironic because his company, Nissan, also sells instant ramen noodles at a relatively cheap price. So I don't see the point. It's like, hey, I don't like that you're doing the things that I'm doing, and even though we're both doing the same thing, mine's better because fuck you, that's why. Besides, I'm not trying to paint him as a villain. He has done some good things too. He frequently donates a lot of food to those who are affected by natural disasters. I'm talking over 2 million of servings as a disaster relief package, which is pretty nice. He's a decent fella. Just a little salty is all. Okay, now, we need to address this. A lot of people think that MSG is poisonous. It is if you eat a huge chunk of it on an empty stomach, but its effects are pretty mild. And I don't think I have to tell you this because you know that eating anything in large quantity is gonna mess you up. So if you eat it moderately, it's not gonna hurt you in any way. Now, a lot of companies do promote their goods by labeling MSG free on the package, which makes people question, like, wait, MSG, what is that? Is that bad? This fear around MSG started a while ago, and a doctor was involved. In 1969, a doctor ate Chinese food. And after consuming his meal, he started feeling sick. His head was spinning, he was feeling tired, weak, and numb. So he recorded it in his journal saying, Chinese food bad. I ate Chinese and I felt sick. That's not what he said, I'm just imagining. But yeah, when he wrote that report, he coined the term Chinese restaurant syndrome, which gave Chinese restaurants and Chinese food a pretty bad rap. And it affected so many markets. But after research, turns out MSG is non-lethal for human consumption. And only a small percentage of people are affected when they consume it in large quantity on an empty stomach. Believe it or not, MSG, also known as monosodium glutamate, is commonly found in tomatoes, cheese, mushroom, and your body. Your body naturally produces MSG. It's a salt of monoglutamic acid. It enhances the flavor. It's not lethal, but a lot of people assume it is. And I'm a victim of this conspiracy too, because I did not know about this until I did proper research. And now I know that MSG is not harmful to you, given that you don't consume like a sack full of it. So yeah, stop fearing MSG and Chinese food. Eat away as much as your heart desires. Okay, now that you know the story and everything and all the controversies, we can actually talk about Indomie and how people are losing their minds over it. I mean, people have even used Indomie instead of a cake at their weddings. I love Indomie, but not that much. Okay. Indomie is a brand of noodles, of course. Just like Bulldog. They're different flavors, they're different types, and they're inventing new flavors every single day. Well, not every day, but as frequently as they can to keep the ball rolling. It's cheap and affordable, but most importantly, it's tasty. Hold on, I'll be back. My dinner is here. I'm gonna eat once I'm done recording. Okay, so where was I don't think I've ever tasted a taste quite like it. And like, I've tried many things, and I'm a very rough food critic, okay? If it sucks, I'm gonna tell you it sucks. I don't like food that I don't find palatable or tasty. But Indomie is something that I guess stole my heart. And I see why people are obsessed. In Indonesia, Nigeria, and around the world. So much so that they're deciding that they should make a cake. A wedding cake out of Indomie. That kind of obsession is dangerous. I mean, what's next? Are they gonna name their kids after that? I heard there was even a museum showing the process, like how back in the days Indomie was made, all the old equipment, but I couldn't really confirm it. But let me know if there is a thing like that. I'll check it out when I do come to Indonesia. Okay, despite all the good things I've said so far about Indomie, I'm not gonna deny that it's unhealthy. It's got a lot of sodium, which is bad for your body. So eat it sparingly. But if you just eat Indomie every single day without adding any protein that your body needs to function, then of course you're gonna struggle. And that's the sad reality in most poverty-stricken country, where they do not have access to meat, things that you do need to survive, and not only survive, but have a healthy diet. So for them, having access to food that's affordable is not a bad thing. So yeah, I do not hate the fact that Indomie is cheap and affordable. I actually love that. Maybe make it a little bit healthy by adding things that might be good for the body. And that could really blow this thing out of the water. I mean, solving world hunger is a pretty big feat. Okay, my honest take on Indomie. I love what they've got going on, but I feel like every country should have their version of Indomie, you know? Like Indian spice, African spice, American spice. Yuck. You get what I mean? That would really be crazy because humans are pretty creative and I would love to see something like that. And about the insult, if it was an insult, I'm not sure what he really meant. He wasn't really thinking, so he just delivered a very insensitive comment, which is untrue. I mean, you see, people eat Indomie because it's tasty, not because it's expensive. And just because something is affordable doesn't mean it's inherently bad. And also, like I said, Nissin also produces cup noodles, which is unhealthy. But so yeah, that's just my take on the whole controversy. I hope you like the story. Reach out to me if you need a voice actor or a video editor. If I'm not overbooked, I will respond quickly. I'll have links to Indomie and Nissin products down below. Feel free to try them out both and give your honest ratings. I would love to know if you love, if you're on Indomie team or Nissin team, or if you're just in the middle who don't really care about companies, you just love noodles and you don't care about the drama. You just care about food, which I respect very much. Oh, before you go, stone, paper, scissors. If I lost, feel free to dislike the video. If I won, you have to like and hype the video. Do it now. Do it. Do it. And watch this video.